Bob, I know we spoke to you only last week. We've had since a lot of oil major company earnings. We've had a lot of data. Have you changed anything in the way you manage your portfolio?
In the last week, not a whole lot. I guess at the margin, we're taking some money off the table in healthcare as those stocks have held up in the market decline. And what's gone down the most are some of the cyclical areas like energy, and on weakness, we're adding to some of those names.
And Bob, financials is an area that last time you were on, you were bearish on. If investors had listened to you at that point, they actually would have been making money by being out of that group, or at least not losing more money. At what point do you get comfortable with financials, or do you have to wait until next year for that?
I think it will take some time. Look, fundamentally, we're concerned about slow growth and what that means for all the credits on the balance sheet. Will some of them have to move to non-performing? We know that the deleveraging process continues, which means the ability to retain strong ROEs and return on capital for the sector will be difficult. Look, there'll be a bunch of winners, but in my mind, this sector is like energy and in 1980 and healthcare in the year 2000. Big run up, led the market, bubble bursts, big underperformance, big reflex rally, all three sectors, financial, we've just seen it. And then the case of energy and technology, they went to a multi-year sort of ho-humish period as they got their footing and tried to figure out what was going to be next. I think financials will head in that same kind of situation.
Hey, Bob, Adam, speaking of energy and having had a huge run, Petrobras, I know you're in energy. Petrobras struck me as one of your names. Huge run, 92% year to date. What do you do with a stock like that? Do you just keep riding this thing? I mean, at what point do you say, you know, we're putting a little something in the pocket?
Well, it depends on the size of it in your portfolio. If it's an outsized position, which if you're fortunate enough to have been in for a while, it has grown, and to take the edge off and some say play with the house's money, I don't think is all bad. So taking some profits but retaining your position. Still a strong company, good fundamentals, and in our opinion, pretty reasonable valuation.
Bob,
despite the run.
I wanted to ask about Wal-Mart. We're hearing from the Financial Times that it's looking to actually expand in urban spaces here in the United States. This is quite a big gamble.
Yeah, look, Walmart is struggling to figure out how they're going to grow in a slow growth economy, and I think they will use their muscle, which is a big one, to extend lots of different places. We know not that many years ago they began to do that internationally, so that they're moving into urban areas. I don't think is a big surprise, but you're right. It's got to be a different strategy. It's a bit of an unknown, and they'll have to figure out, can they get that done?
Bob, just looking at the S&P in early trading this morning, it has creeped back above 1040, but very muted move to the upside. Is there one single factor you see influencing stocks through the end of the year? Is it the dollar? Is it the economic data?
Yeah, it's all of the above. Is that one or not? I don't know. Look, I think we're in a period here where investors are digesting the huge gain last week. There were questions about sustainability, magnitude of the recovery, some renewed concerns about credit. We'll have those from time to time. This is going to be an atypical sort of economic recovery that is slower than normal, and so there'll be bouts of time when we feel like, gee, how's this thing really going to grow? And that's what happened last week. They'll come back. We think we've not seen the cyclical high for the market just yet.
Hey, Bob, talking about growth, Google, huge earnings growth over the past number of years, obviously 125% if you go back to 05, but then 85, 48, 20. In other words, it's sort of slipping, and for next year they're talking about sort of mid-teens. Still a big grower, but what keeps that stock going?
Well, a lot of believers that they will continue to take market share and develop new markets, and so far so good, despite the accurate point you made that the growth, while still strong, has decelerated somewhat. Of course, the valuation is still reasonably high in our view, but it's not as high as it used to be when the growth was so much stronger. So I guess it's growing up. It's moving into at least adolescence, and eventually it'll become an adult.